104.9 Coyote Country, Robert Miguel here with you. Time again for my favorite time of the week, Fanboy Friday. Welcome with me on the phone from Dallas, Texas, professional Q&A moderator and speaker, film critic at BigFanboy.com, and show director at Dallas Comic Show, Mr. Mark Walters. Good morning, sir.
What is up? How are you, Robert?
I'm getting better at that intro, I think.
I think you are, too. It feels like you've memorized it, really. It feels like you know exactly what to say. Like, I feel like I could walk in a room and you would, like, stand in front of me and go, ladies and gentlemen, and you would just do the whole introduction.
Professional Q&A moderator. Yeah, it's good to have a guy that knows your resume. All right, so good stuff. All right, so let's start off with this. Did you, in fact, already see Thor?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
I did see Thor, and, oh, my God. I loved just about everything about it. It was really, really, really good. I actually did not expect it to be as good. I mean, I had heard things. I had heard people, advanced film critics, people that I knew had already seen it. I had heard people talk about it and say that they thought it was really, really good. I was not expecting it to be as good as what it ended up being. I was really blown away. I would definitely put this in, like, the top, I would say at least the top 3 of the Marvel movies so far. I think it is that good.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, you had said that the word on the street was that it was very awesome, and then not soon thereafter, I saw the newest trailer, or the commercials rather, that said top-rated Marvel movie of all time. So the critics are obviously eating it up. But you're saying top 3, huh?
Yeah, I'd put it in the top 3. I mean, I don't know that I'd say it's the best Marvel movie, but then again, I think part of that may be inherently because it is a sequel. It is a Thor movie. It's kind of its own thing. And as much as I like the character of Thor, he's still not my favorite Marvel character. But, man, this really does deliver everything that you want it to. And I think a lot of it is due to the genius and the inspirational choice of picking Taika Waititi to be the director of the film, because this is a guy from New Zealand. He's got a really quirky style in terms of how he directs his films, and he's very, very funny. And one of the things that, more than anything else, that he brings to this film is he brings a great sense of humor to this film, which I think is kind of needed, because I think that Thor, as a character, it's such a bizarre character that I think that if you take it too seriously, you run the risk of maybe alienating the audience a little bit. So they've injected a lot of humor into this one. It's very, very funny. It's very entertaining. It's very fun. And it's still very action-packed. It's got a lot of really good action in it. It's got some really great special effects shots and great action sequences and great characters. Probably some of the best characters, just in terms of the ensemble of characters of any Thor movie that we've seen so far. Really great villain in the form of Cate Blanchett. She plays Hela, who is Thor's sister, and, well, kind of like a long-lost sister he didn't know about, and she's just terrific. I mean, she really, it's amazing to see her on screen, because she's 48 years old, but she's wearing this skin-tight outfit, and she's got the physicality and just the presence of, like, she feels like a girl that's in her 20s.
Oh, no, I was going to say, there's something about Cate Blanchett where, like in Lord of the Rings, and anytime she shows up, I'm like strangely attracted. I'm like, wow, is she that hot to everybody, or am I just kind of, So, yeah, I can see where you're going there.
Trust me, I'm feeling you on that.
So you're saying she puts on a hell of a show, or a hella, what?
Robert, you've got the pun of the week. She puts on a hell of a show. Yes, she does. I would absolutely say that. She really does steal the movie, and she's just great. And not just her, though. I mean, there's a lot of other people in the film that are great. Jeff Goldblum is really funny and really great in the film. He's kind of playing, in a lot of ways, because the character of Hela, when she shows up, they end up kind of getting separated. Like, Thor and Hela are separated for a bulk of the film. So Jeff Goldblum's character sort of becomes like the villain of the piece that Thor has to get past in order to get back into the storyline that involves Hela. And Goldblum is really, I mean, he's definitely hamming it up and having a great time, but he's just so good in this role. It's like such perfect casting. It's one of those things that you come out of this movie and you think about everybody and the characters that they play, and it's hard to imagine like anybody else playing those roles. Carl Urban plays a really cool character called the Executioner that shows up throughout the film. And, of course, Tom Hiddleston is back as Loki. He's really, really good. Tessa Thompson plays Valkyrie. She's great. just a lot of really cool characters. And one of the best characters, one of the best new characters, is actually a CGI character called Korg, and he's kind of like this big rock creature, sort of like a gladiator guy, but he's got like rock skin, and he's actually voiced by the director Taika Waititi. And he is it's a great fun. It's going to be an instant audience favorite. Like, it's one of those characters that like you fall in love with. By the end of the film, you'll be walking up saying, "Yeah, that was one of my favorite characters. He was just really, really fun." And a lot of it's because the voice that Taika Waititi provides for the character. He's just really funny. It's a very, very inspired casting choices all the way through. Even if you're not a comic book fan, I think you would really enjoy this film. But if you're a comic book fan, I think you're going to be ecstatic because there's so many little touches in this movie. Jack Kirby, the great Jack Kirby, who defined the look and the style of a lot of these characters for the early days of Marvel Comics, they actually went back and studied Jack Kirby's design work for things like the backgrounds. You know, like if you look at the backgrounds of the comic books and you see all this really bizarre, futuristic-looking tech, they actually emulated that so that in the film, whenever you see the backgrounds of the what's going on in an action scene or whatever, it looks like a Jack Kirby drawing. It's like really just beautifully done, reverently done. It's so pleasing to me as a comic book fan to see a Thor movie that actually looks like a classic Thor comic book. And so I was very much blown away by this film.
You know, and that's something that the average moviegoer is not going to pick up on. Like you said, that's kind of like if you're actually a person that's read those issues, who knows these stories, grew up with the product, and yet when you see it done justice, or at least the nod is there, you're like, hey, you know what, this might be a film, this might be 2017, but to acknowledge that there's source material here that is not going, ignored. That is really comforting to hear.
You're absolutely right. They won't pick up on it, but I think they will realize that what they're seeing is unique and different from what we've seen before. This film has a very interesting and a very unique look to it. That's all across the board. That's not just the design work and the production design, but the color palette that they use for the film. I mean, like a lot of the characters that show up in the film, even if it's just some background soldier or something on this, because at one point Thor and Loki, they end up on this barbarian-type planet, and the planet that they're on, like the color scheme that's used on the planet, even like some of the guards that show up in the background, if you look at their costumes, it's just some of the most weird, bizarre-looking costumes that you've ever seen. Like, you've never seen anything like this even in a Star Wars movie. This really does kind of transcend and it takes sci-fi to sort of a whole new level. And so I'm really hoping that this will maybe open the eyes of some of the other filmmakers that are going to make some of the future movies to where it's like, hey, look at what Thor Ragnarok did. Look at the how they sort of transcended the medium and did things that were so odd and unusual, and it succeeded, and hopefully apply that to future films, because I'm telling you, man, this is going to blow you away.
Man,
when
Mark,
you see this movie, visually, even if you don't like the movie, I think visually it's going to blow you away.
You're getting me all kinds of excited, man. I'm going to run out today and see that in theaters as soon as I get off work, probably. First showing, first screening. So I'm excited about that. Thor Ragnarok available now. Anything else you want to touch on that before we move on to the next?
Yeah, I should also mention Incredible Hulk. You've seen him a little bit in the trailers and the TV commercials. This is the best Incredible Hulk we've ever seen in a movie. It is the perfect embodiment of Marvel's Incredible Hulk. It is so well done, and you finally get to see like the Hulk that we've kind of been wanting to see all these years, because he's kind of that big dumb animal Hulk. Still, he talks and he still has those endearing qualities about him. Just so fun seeing him and Thor. We've seen a little bit of this before. Like if you look at the past movies and you look at like how Thor and Hulk have played off of each other,
right?
Some of those Avengers movies. But this is the first time that we've really had a chance to see them kind of buddy up and work with one another. And man, it's that part of the film, that aspect of the film is very, very satisfying.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because that is the one aspect that I was worried about. What I noticed was with the Avengers films and whatnot, we've seen the Thor-Hulk dynamic is kind of like the comedy relief. Like they're kind of like the Timon and Pumbaa in The Lion King. They get together, a few gags, physical gags, and my greatest fear was that Thor Ragnarok would kind of be like this buddy, Dumb and Dumber kind of Thor and Hulk thing. And you're saying that it's much bigger and better than that.
Yeah, there's more to it than that. I mean, there's certainly kind of that, you could almost quantify it as like a buddy picture, but it doesn't play straightforward in that same way. Like, it's not, I would not use Dumb and Dumber as a similarity necessarily, but I think that there are certainly aspects of it that kind of play off of that. But no, it's very, very satisfying. It's very fun, and it's the kind of thing that, like, I'm sure they've probably had some comics that touched upon that, that sort of dynamic between those two. But it's the kind of thing that I could almost see now, just because of this movie. I could see them making a comic book that is specifically, Thor and Hulk, kind of going on an adventure together and playing off the sensibilities of what they did in the film. It's brilliantly done. It's very well executed. I cannot say enough good things about this movie. I mean, listen, there's a few minor gripes. Like, if I had to say, if you asked me, like, is it perfect? Is there anything wrong with it? I would tell you, yeah, there's a few things that they probably could have done better. There's a few things that I wasn't terribly thrilled with. But for the most part, as a Marvel movie, as a superhero movie, it really delivers what you want it to.
All right, very good. So anything else besides Thor Ragnarok you're excited about with BigFanboy.com these days?
We're gearing up for Justice League, of course, which is now, I guess, 2 weeks away.
Right. So any information trickling down your way about the new Justice League there? Yeah.
The only thing that I've heard recently that kind of got me a little bit excited that, I was, or at least interested, was that, Danny Elfman is scoring the movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Danny Elfman he's already said that he's going to implement some of John Williams' Superman theme in the score.
Oh, awesome.
I thought was really cool. Now they're saying that he may actually implement some of his classic 1989 Batman theme.
What?
The score as well, which I thought was kind of interesting. Considering the fact that it's not the same Batman or the same universe that Batman existed in, but still, it could be really cool to hear that classic Batman Danny Elfman theme played, in the movie. I guess it all depends on the context in which they play it and whatnot. But no, I mean, I'm interested to see how that movie plays out. It's a film that seems like it has a lot going against it, because there's been a lot of problems with the DC movie so far. Henry Cavill even came out this week and made a statement where he basically admitted that, the DC films up until now haven't really been that good, that Wonder Woman was kind of the one shining light of hope, that maybe, okay, well, this was good, maybe the rest of them can follow suit. So I think that, that movie's going to be under kind of a very intense microscope from a lot of people, and I hope that it delivers. I hope it at least delivers a fun, exciting action movie, but it's going to be tricky, and with the whole added drama of, Zack Snyder having to step down and Joss Whedon stepping in to finish the film. I mean, that in and of itself, those are the kind of things that usually speak to, well, this is going to be a mess. But, maybe it'll surprise us. Maybe it'll really wow us. I think that Warner Brothers and DC, they need this film to be successful. They need this to blow people away, to really get them on board for the future films that are going to come afterwards. Because they've got a whole slate of movies that they're trying to get done. Aquaman, The Flash, there's supposed to be a standalone Batman movie, a Wonder Woman sequel, and the only way that those movies can really do well or perform well is if this movie is good and successful and people will kind of get on board with that universe. So there's a lot riding on that film, and I mean, granted, it's still 2 weeks away. They may actually be in the editing room right now trying to fix some problems, tweak
God, I hope
and
not.
just get it to where it needs to be, but I'm very anxious to see what they do with it.
Well, they've got great momentum, coming out of Wonder Woman, so let's just hope they kind of keep going forward with that whole vibe, because Wonder Woman was absolutely excellent. So
well, and they actually went back and added more Wonder Woman to the movie because of that. Like the fact that Wonder Woman was as successful as it was, they actually went back, and when they did some reshoots, they added in more sequences with Wonder Woman. So I think they're very well aware that Wonder Woman that's kind of their secret weapon right now.
Yeah, you'll get no complaints from me on that. All right, so looking forward to Justice League. That's coming soon. Like I said, not much else going on. I did want to mention I made it out to Alamo City Comic-Con over the weekend. I made it out to Sunday, so I'm sorry you weren't able to make it out there. But, yeah, Apple and all the crew out there had a great show. I got to see the butt end of the Linda Blair panel. Then I got to see a lot of the Lance Henriksen, and really enjoyed the People Under the Stairs guys we're talking. So, yeah, it was a great time out there in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. So next time they come out to San Antonio. We got to meet up, hook up, grab a beer, and talk shop.
Yeah, man, I'm really sorry I missed it, and I'm very happy for Apple and his crew. They always put on a really good show, and I will definitely be out there for the next one. But yeah, Alamo City Comic Con, and I know that they announced, I believe they announced at that event that they will be back on that same weekend next year. They're going to be doing another Halloween themed event next year, so we'll definitely be hyping that up and talking that up as it gets closer.
Well, that's definitely a Halloween tradition I can get behind. All right, so any content on bigfanboy.com you want to mention? Any new reviews or trailers posted?
We posted a couple of new trailers this week. There's a new Star Wars trailer. If you guys are watching the World Series, they actually premiered a new, it's kind of like a 45-second commercial, but it's basically like a mini trailer. And we put that up, and that's got some new footage in it. It's got some stuff that you haven't seen before. There's a new trailer for I, Tonya, which is the film where Margot Robbie plays Tanya Harding. We posted up that as well. I've also got my review of Thor Ragnarok posted up there if you want to read the full review. Listen, just so people know, whenever I post reviews, I always try to keep as many of them, like any major spoilers, anything that really goes into depth of like key story moments in the film, I don't put that stuff in my reviews. I make sure that I keep my reviews as spoiler-free as possible. I just tell you about some of the key points or some of the things that really made the film great, but I don't spoil any major moments in the film for you. I want to leave that for you to see when you go see the movie. So, but yeah, that stuff's up there right now at bigfanboy.com.
Well, Mark, we appreciate that, and you do keep us spoiled with all the great content you offer. See, look at me going on with another little pun or I don't know what's up with me this morning. It's just bad comedy all the way around. But thanks again, Mark. We appreciate your input as always. Again, let's give it up one more time to professional Q&A moderator and speaker, film critic at bigfanboy.com, show director at Dallas Comic Show from Dallas, Texas, Mark Walters. Thank you again so much, sir. We'll see you next week, all right?
Thank you, Robert.
104.9